Kid, and before I get stuck into this review, I wanted to make a quick confession. See, as much as I love working on these videos, they can be pretty damn stressful at times. I spend like 10 to 20 hours playing a game, unlocking all the endings, looking shit up online to make sure I actually understood the plot. Then I've got to write the script, Pathos edits the script, I flip out about all the changes, record each line 12 times because I'm an angsty perfectionist, then capture footage, edit, tweak, and upload. So if a game's 20 or 30 hours long, that means there's a lot of crap I need to get done. Conversely, if a game's only 2 or 3 hours long, that means I can play, capture, and write everything pretty easily. So after the monster that was No Thank You, I thought I'd do another review of a shorter, freer game. But then I got a lecture from Pathos on consistent quality and don't cut corners, kid. Stupid Pathos. So instead we're doing two. Two free Otome for the price of no free Otome. First off, we have Alistair, one of the early games by Sake Visual, the studio responsible for the Jisei trilogy, Ripples, and Backstage Pass. It's also the second Otome game I ever played. Incidentally, the first Otome I ever played was Naruto Dating Sim, but I'm never gonna review that, unless we get really desperate. You play as Merui, a brash, overexcitable high schooler who's also pretty big into an MMO called Rivenwell Online. While playing in the school computer lab one day, a random passerby called Alistair nabs a rare drop that Merui had been working for. Just as she's about to engage him in PvP, the computer lab's Wi-Fi stops working and... Wait a minute. You're trying to play an MMO on a school connection and on Wi-Fi? Are you crazy? What's your ping? Like 1200? Fucking noob. Anyway, when Merui logs back in, she finds out that the thief had gotten disconnected at the same time she was, and deduces that he must be enrolled at her school. So, she makes a bet with Alistair that if she can discover his real identity within a month, he'll hand over the rare item and apologize. So, with that, let's take a look at our 3 main suspects / romance options.
Characters romance.
First up is Travis, head of the school's computer gaming club and resident grump. He's incredibly blunt and to the point, and advocates responsibility above all else. Despite his no-nonsense attitude, though, he has a wry, snarky sense of humor, and is even kind of a troll. The question is he enough of a jerk to be Alistair? Shiro, a mousy-haired, soft-spoken boy who's serious about his studies. Beneath his gentle exterior lies a fiery resolve, and even a fair helping of repressed anger. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who'd be trolling you online, but then again, they say it's always the quiet ones. Derek, straight-A student, star basketball player, and student council vice president. He's a serial ladies' man, a smooth talker, and all-around cocky son of a bitch. But just because he's kind of a dick, does that really mean he's your online nemesis? Merui herself is a fiery, carefree girl who's oddly charming despite not being really good at anything. She's not as eccentric as Hyoko, as outspoken as Saki, or as complex as Cinders, but there's something about her that's just likable.
Gameplay.
Alistair is a visual novel with some light stat-raising elements. Each guy has a corresponding stat he's interested in, whether it's your gamer skills, study skills, or your social reputation, but even his least favorite stat will still need some care and attention. You can work after school to earn money, and you can use that money to purchase study books, new video games, or clothes to impress your chosen guy. Aside from boosting or weakening your stats, these items can also unlock bonus scenes. Certain items are required to see the guy's best endings, but even some of the more random stuff you can buy will trigger some kind of interesting conversation. For example, picking up a survival horror game will prompt Shiro to comment on how much he enjoys the game. While you still need to be careful and give every stat due attention, it never feels like you have to juggle desperately. The criteria are forgiving enough that you can work on getting your chosen guy, but still spend some time with the other two. In fact, it might be a little too forgiving. If you know what you're doing, you can blitz through the game with all your stats way higher than they need to be. But if I had to choose between breezing through and scraping along by the seat of my pants, I'd rather have fun. Speaking of fun, you can read emails. It's silly and pointless and serves no real purpose, but it's a cute touch. Well, to be fair, you can get some vague hints as to how each of the guys feels about you based on the tone of their messages, but other than that, it's just fluff. Delicious marshmallow fluff.
Presentation.
As far as the art goes, this game is pretty good. The character designs are appealing, the UI is slick, the soundtrack works well with whatever scene it's accompanying.
Honestly, I've seen full-price visual novels with far less polish than this.
I will admit that some of the sprites look kind of off-model at times, but overall the game looks great. One thing I do want to mention are the MMO segments. Whenever Meru'i plays Rivenwell Online, the whole look of the game changes drastically. The UI shifts to a more rustic RPG menu style, with a chat box, a health bar, and even some hotkeyed items. The character sprites get switched to a very colourful chibi art style, with those adorably old-school, super exaggerated expressions. These segments looked gorgeous, and something about the music during these parts is oddly haunting. Overall, though, the music's just kinda there.
Final thoughts.
So in the end, what did I think of Alistair? Well, it's well written, it's got a lot of polish, and it's 100% free! It's an upbeat, easy-to-digest game with no frustrating mini-games, no ultra-dark bad endings, and no hours-long side plots.
It's quick, it's easy, and after playing nothing but full-length 20-hour Otome games, it was refreshing as hell to play something so simple. Sure, it's nothing earth-shattering, but it's still damned enjoyable, and if you're looking for an introductory Otome, it's damn near perfect.
Next up, we have Aloners, a post-apocalyptic Otome about the last two people on Earth. I found this one randomly browsing around one day, and well, here it is. In Aloners, you play as you, kind of. See, you were walking in the park one day and received a mysterious phone call. After that, you remember Jack all. And now you've just woken up in a dilapidated shack in the middle of the desert. Oh, and there's a guy who calls himself Trash holding a gun on you and insisting that everyone in the world has either died or been corrupted by some sort of mysterious red cloud. Once he realizes that you're both very much alive and fairly sane, he takes you in and tries to teach you the ins and outs of life after Armageddon. As for what happens next, well, it's all up to what kind of person you are and how you react to your goggle-wearing companion. Sure, he's a little rough around the edges, but he is the only human being left on Earth, so you might as well try to get along with the dude.
Characters romance.
Wait. Didn't I just say that you and Trash are the only people left alive? That means there's no Bishy buffet tonight, guys. Just one dude. A la carte. Or something.
Trash is kind of hard to describe. He's a brash, loudmouth show-off with a massive flirtatious streak, but he's also incredibly level-headed when it comes to matters of survival. Mechanically, he's a genius, but as far as women go, he's clueless. He jokes at all the wrong times, but there's a deeply sad and troubled aspect to him. He's got a hair-trigger temper and a tender, lonely heart. Basically, he's a human being, and the fact that he's the only guy you can romance means that you get to experience all these sides of him and more. And getting to decide how you feel about this adorable asshole is one of the most immersive role-playing experiences I've had in an Otome game. It almost kind of reminds me of Cinders.
Gameplay.
Aloners is a visual novel. No frills, no gimmicks, no countdown clock of death. Just read the story and make whatever decisions you want to. No, seriously, do what you want to do. Don't try to game this or angst over whether Trash will approve of your attitude. Just let go and be yourself.
While most Otome I've played are designed around the idea of your dialogue choices determining which of several guys you end up with, in the case of Aloners, you're, well, alone.
Trash is your only option here, and as for your actions, the only thing they decide is who you are. And of course, what you think of your male companion. Are you a demure, lovey-dovey damsel who wants naught but to rest in his arms? Are you a spunky action girl who likes to taunt and tease her goggled friend? Or do you just really fucking hate the dude? All are viable options, and honestly, the game's so much more interesting when you play as yourself and make the choices you would in real life, which usually boil down to, "Ooh, take me, Mr. Trash. Cool your jets, Tex," or, "Ugh, get your gross sandy hands off me, you smelly creep." Sure, there's some variation, and some choices lead to more uplifting endings than others, but the majority of it's just whether you love, like, or hate the guy. There are an abundance of choices in this game, from the actions you take in a fight, how you react to Trash's jokes, whether you explore. It's kinda cool. And hell, Trash will comment if you act out of character.
It feels genuinely tense, like, shit, what do I do right now? Which is a nice change from just dialogue stuff.
The story's also surprisingly long. My first playthrough took a good 5 or 6 hours, and there's much more to discover to this story than you might first assume. There are many perils out there in the Dust Bowl, many false leads and strange mysteries to delve into. Hell, Trash himself is something of a mystery. Just what kind of shit had this guy lived through in order to turn him into the hardened desert scavenger he's become? Does he well and truly love you, or is it just a case of loneliness?
And what's up with the goggles anyway? Is he a digi-destined or something?
I will say that by the last hour of the game, I was getting kind of fatigued and wishing things would just end rather than piling on more sudden twists. But as a whole, the game was damned engaging. And hell, it's leagues above the majority of free Otome. I'd easily rank it besides Alistair as a fantastic Otome game you don't have to pay for.
Presentation.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. This is a low-budget game. It's obviously a low-budget game. The backgrounds are all stock photos with filters slapped on. The music's all royalty-free. And aside from a few silhouettes, the only character sprite is Trash, who has maybe 10 expressions? That said, this game is a prime example of making do with what you've got. The music has been carefully selected, the backgrounds aren't horribly ugly, and Trash's sprite is drawn with such care that he really does feel far more expressive than he actually is. Besides, this is one of those games that, much like Heartful Boyfriend, is all about the writing.
Final thoughts.
So, yeah. Aloneness is a game I enjoyed way more than I thought I would. The story isn't revolutionary, but the way it's told and the humanity of the endearing main character dude makes it downright addictive. I didn't have the time to sit down and marathon the game, and every time I stepped away, I wanted to come back. I needed to know how this story ended. It's hard to explain, but Trash is just so damn charming and complex that I just wanted to spend more time with the guy. Sure, he's not old, crazy, or a glasses-wearing jerkwad, but this is one guy I'd love as a friend. And because the game gave me that option, to tease and rib him like a buddy, I freaking loved that. And hell, if someone else plays the game, maybe they freaking hate Trash and just want to keep him at arm's length. They can do that too. Really? I'd love it if more games gave the option to decide the vibe of my romance as well as the guy. Cripes, could you imagine pursuing Shu as an equally soulless monster? Or flirting with Yuri as much as he does with you? That'd rock!
Much like its main character, Aloneness is a little rough around the edges, but for cheap as free? Damn! It's a mature, evocative story that'll hit you in the heart at least a couple of times. And if it doesn't, it's free. It's not like you wasted $20 or anything.
Thanks for watching the episode. If you're interested in seeing more Otome-Nia, check out the videos above. On the left is the episode just before this one, and on the right is the very first episode, which is also the start of our playlist.